Yeah, yo.
Yeah.
A lot of the crew got to check out The Jungle Book, directed by Jon Favreau. Dude, man, the roster for this was crazy.
It was bananas.
I heard The Rock
roster
played
was...
Baloo, right?
The Rock, no.
No, Bill
that
Murray.
Yeah, the Rock will be the Rock will be Kai, and the Rock will be Bagheera in part 2. When they need to reinvigorate the franchise.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, we're talking about The Jungle Book, starring Idris Elba, starring Bill Murray, starring Scarlett Johansson, starring the late Gary Shandling. Oh, my bad. Excuse me, Larry Sanders.
Yeah. We lost both those guys in the same day.
Yeah, no, that was an inside gag. But dude, we're talking about The Jungle Book, directed by Jon Favreau. It seems live action, and it was promoted as live action. It's actually all CG with a single live action actor.
Right.
But I couldn't tell.
So it's kind of like what's the movie?
Pootie Tang.
Yes, that's the guy.
No.
Biggie Shorty.
No, you mean like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit type thing, a movie where you have live action actors with animated characters.
Yeah.
A lot of this was done with CG, and one thing that really jumped out at me is I couldn't notice most of it. You know, a lot of it looked like actual animals. I mean, granted, they're talking and stuff, and they're standing on hind legs, and having like legit conversations about philosophy and things. So something's up.
Yeah.
But this used from revolutionary techniques in animation, in which a lot of it was not directly motion capture, but motion, I guess, mimicry would be the proper term, of actual animal movements. Animals in this were animated to move just like actual animals in the wild.
Sure.
It was bugged out.
And you've been seeing a lot of that over the years, especially with Andy Serkis, what he's done with,
Andy Serkis, I believe, is some kind of animal himself.
Right. I mean, he did King Kong. He's done anytime you need an animal to kind of act like a human being or something like that, to be animated like over, like he's the dude. Like that's his job.
Ironically enough,
like Gollum, all that stuff. Man.
Ironically enough, he's actually dropping another Jungle Book in 2018.
Is he right?
Kid you not?
Well, I mean, I'm not okay. I'm not automatically going to think the worst, because I thought the worst of this, and this movie, I'm just going to come out and say right now, blew me away.
I've heard that. Yeah,
it was good. It was an amazing movie.
All right, a quick rundown. If anyone doesn't know the story of the Jungle Book, get my voice on. The man cub Mowgli flees the jungle after a threat from the tiger Shere Khan. Guided by Bagheera the panther and the bear Baloo, Mowgli embarks on a journey of self-discovery, though he also meets creatures who don't have his best interest at heart. Starring Neil Sethi as Mowgli and Bill Murray as Baloo, The Jungle Book. And then we'll insert like something from The Lion King or something. Savannah! But dude, no, the cast in this I mentioned, and I picked up a thing real quick, because Ben Kingsley was Bagheera the panther, who was a larger part in this. Bagheera was one of the characters who's like there on the side and important.
Well, that's his main dude in the animated one.
Well, yeah, but it's not one of the ones that stands out. Like when I think The Jungle Book, what comes to mind off the bat?
Honestly, it was Bagheera.
Exactly. Well, okay. For you, it's Bagheera. For you, it's Baloo. For me, it's the music. Like it's the bare necessities, the simple. And you think bare necessities. You think I want to walk like you, talk like you. King Louis song. It wasn't a musical.
Yeah,
the original wasn't a musical.
The orial. And old King Louis, like, before he stole his name.
I will say this, a lot of interesting twists and turns were done with this movie. Like, for example, it's not a spoiler to say King Louis was not an orangutan. Favreau made a lot of very specific animal choices to make it more accurate to what would be present in India. At the not just at the time, but in general. And orangutans weren't native to India. They're not native now to India. But what was native at one point was the Gigantopithecus, prehistoric gigantic, orangutan-like ape, and it worked perfectly.
It did.
A lot of character types were redesigned. Not like we got to make it updated and give them a backwards hat and sunglasses. None of that BS. It was just revamped to make things seem more in line with what these types of roles would be. Basically, Shere Khan was a thug. This dude, Shere Khan was gangster, man.
He really was. Like, Stringer Bell, son, is what he was. When he was in that movie.
Yeah, but Stringer Bell was a punk. I never liked Stringer.
Okay. He's have you been watching Daredevil? He's the Kingpin. He's just the understated, like, this dude, he's very calm. You know, he seems
calculated.
Like, he seems almost bumbling until he does some stuff. Then you're like, overkill. And everything about Shere Khan just screamed, do not mess with this dude. And then he messed up people who didn't mess with him.
He was not the one to mess with.
Absolutely not. Voiced by Idris Elba, who I thought did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, surprising.
Amazing job.
Yeah,
because that guy just does it. He only does good work. That's what's so good, you know?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. We're used to seeing him do good work.
Yeah.
This is just his voice and emotion. Like, I was terrified myself. Like, not that I'm going and facing down
Did he have
tigers.
the English inflection on it?
He did, but everyone kind of did.
Okay.
The only negative I'll say about this, because I don't have much negative to say about it, is the kid Mowgli himself.
Why?
Really?
Well, first of all, I thought the actor did a phenomenal job considering how young he was and what he had to work with, this type of story. But I also got a little bit of, like, acting from him. You know, I felt it was a little like non-genuine, and I got child actor.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only real role that's kind of set up to kind of fail. I mean, people forget, you know, as we mentioned, you know, in Bob Hoskins when he did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that's one of the most underrated acting performances that I can think of. You know what I mean? You try to think of when you're doing a movie and you're doing a movie like this, and like The Jungle Book, where you're only acting against fake backgrounds. You're the only human being in that. It's just so hard to get like the emotional cues and get everything, you know, correct. Yeah. Because you gotta laugh, you gotta cry, you gotta do all this stuff, and you're running, and you're really running by yourself. There's no one else around.
Hence why I'm more inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's a young kid,
especially being young. Has he done anything else? You know what I mean? This is a heck of a first movie to kind of cut your teeth on. When the
kid's 13, 14. They're still trying to figure that out. But I mean, he's only been acting since 2013. You know what I mean? So for him to be roughly 3 years in the game, and for you to be acting in this movie by yourself against green screens, knowing that the tagline's not even you, even though you're the only one there. Like, Bill Murray is leading this charge. Idris Elba is leading this charge. But you're like, even though you're the only person who's physically on the set, you're still way at the bottom of the list.
It's more challenging that way.
It is because you're carrying this with these heavy names attached to it. So I thought the kid did a relatively good job considering that, without a doubt. I mean, you didn't even mention like Christopher Walken on this. You know what I mean?
I'm getting there, brother.
I mean, that's heavy. Like, you know what I mean?
That's big. He was King Louis, and Christopher Walken played it very understated, which we're used to seeing him in roles where, you know, he's more of a dynamic figure.
Absolutely.
But he's still Christopher Walken. You know, he
I'm
talks in that way, and he's got that look.
More voice work, Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
I think he's too distinctive a voice to get voice work. He's one of those people where. What's up?
The cowbell.
The cowbell?
The cowbell.
In
the movie.
I've heard him from all cowbell. He mentions cowbell.
Break it down for me, man.
So in the movie, when Mowgli walks into the actual den or area where King Louis is, he starts fumbling with some stuff. Then he picks up the cowbell. And he rings the cowbell. And that's when King Louis comes out. Wow. Straight underground shout out.
I remember that.
To Christopher Walken. You're like, I lost it.
Well,
that's why you just started bursting out laughing in the middle of the theater, because he grabbed the cowbell, then he rung it, and then King Louis came out.
Okay, that was good. That did slip my mind, but I think that's an Easter egg that cats.
It definitely was.
He went spring on
it's cool. I mean, but my big question with this movie, I think the only one that, not the only one that really matters, but just how did it look?
It looked fantastic. One thing I'll definitely say is the animation on this was on point. Not just on point, like, it was well animated and believable, but honestly, at times, I do not think it's hyperbole to say it was stunning.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, it was stunning, and I think that really stands out in one of the shortest scenes, but most poignant, when you see Kaa, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, which you think, you got other people, Ben Kingsley has a distinctive voice and an accent. Idris Elba has a dynamic voice and an accent. Scarlett Johansson isn't somebody who's known for her voice.
Well, she did that movie Her with just her voice, but she does well. She knows what she's doing.
I'm gonna. Okay, those are okay. This was definitely the animation was spot on, and her voice went really well with it. I can't think of a couple more people that may have been better in the role itself. but mostly for like tonal quality, you know, and that's just what's going on in my head. But her acting, there's no bones about it, was spectacular in this, because it's a scene that's literally supposed to be mesmerizing, and I was in the theater like, dude, basically mesmerized myself. It looked amazing. I think the culmination of the appearance was that scene, and it's the hypnosis of Mowgli scene with the snake. That's one taken directly from the earlier Disney version.
Sure. Okay, I have another question. This is kind of important to me. Now, were the crows?
There were no racist crows in this movie.
So what's she going to do?
Yeah, there were no racist crows in this movie.
Why were they racist?
Why weren't they racist, man? When are crows not racist?
But they weren't crows. They were like
Disney is notorious for being
But they had English accents. What are you talking about? Racist?
We've gone far too long on this without actually giving a legit review. I will say I highly recommend anybody see this, but especially see it if you're a parent. It's always been a story that's been meant for like kids. This is no exception, but this movie does not pull punches, and I think that's very important. It's not patronizing to kids. It can be enjoyed by adults, and it's not too gritty, and it's not too soft. It just tells a good story and looks great. The acting is solid. Bill Murray can't help but be Bill Murray sometimes, and that may take you out of the Baloo scenes, but won't take you out of the movie. And I love how in this movie, it's a kid story, but Mowgli is in the jungle. You believe there's actual danger. The kid gets hurt. He bleeds. He gets, like, you know, damaged. He's actually in peril, yet it's not horrifying. You know, children can enjoy this, and that's one of the most important things that movies like this can sometimes forget. Dude, I cannot recommend this highly enough. I want to see it again.
Did you have the same experience with it? I mean, he's singing his praises as well, and I've heard the same, but...
I mean, overall, I thought it was a great movie. I mean, what really did it for me is how the CGI of the animals did link up to those voice actors. I mean, I really believed that Bill Murray was Baloo.
Well, you think of that too, and I remember seeing the commercials at first, and I was like, "Man, that's just perfect." You know what I mean? Him as Baloo, it just seems to fit. You know. So.
I mean, and Pat's right with the scene with Ka. That definitely hit me. Like, I was mesmerized at the theater.
Now,
too.
how was the action in your opinion as well? Was it you know, because Favreau has this way of like doing action, but he also, you know, has a touching story behind it, and so the action scenes, were they great?
Action scenes were awesome. It was definitely a great action scenes. I mean, you definitely believed it. I mean, the camera work went very well, that you were actually able to follow Mowgli as he ran, and it worked out very, very well, just the way it was pieced together. It didn't seem forced. It didn't seem too jaded. It worked very well.
Good.
Okay,
good
as a parent, brother, would you take your son to see this?
Not now. My kid's 2. So
okay.
it will scare the hell out of him. But go ahead.
All right, well, I recommend it, man.